schedule, and this is the more important part of it, to scheduling a report is determining when this runs, how it runs, when it runs, how often it runs, how far back it runs, things like that. And so generally, well, not generally, there's a lot of, you can have this, you want just to run on regular intervals. Otherwise, it's not really a useful report. And the way you schedule out the interval is really dependent on what kind of search you're building out. Because of this one, right? So I'm looking back the last hour's worth of results. It wouldn't make sense for me to run this report once a week just to get an hour's worth of results. I might say, in this case, I'd want it to run, every hour. And you can schedule this to run past, 15 minutes past the hour. That way, instead of running exactly at, 11 o'clock, or 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you can say, well, run this at 2:15, 3:15, and so on and so forth. However, what I would recommend, in my professional opinion here, is that you don't use the standard these ones, unless it's just, if it's an every week or an every month kind of report, you can do it that way. If you're wanting to run this at regular intervals throughout the day, I recommend using the Cron schedule, because what Cron does, and I'll actually pull up a window here. Cron every 5 minutes. That way I find what I need to actually just bookmark this. So what Cron does is it's an expression that sets the schedule however you want it. And so each of these values right here are some indicator: minute, hour, delay, or day, month, and day of the week. And so if you are running, for example, in my run every hour, if I have, and this goes towards best practices of scheduling reports to save you headache in the long run. Because as you bring on users and users build more searches and more searches start to run, if I have 1,000 searches or 1,000 reports in my Splunk environment and they all fire off at the top of the hour, like if they all fire off and they're scheduled to fire at 11, the sad reality is that not all those reports are going to fire off at 11. They're going to get backed up, actually. And then you're going to start seeing failed searches, skip searches. You're going to get results late. And then people are going to be like, why am I not getting my results on time? I've got it scheduled for 11. Well, and then you say, well, there's 1,000 other searches here, and some of these have priority over others. So that's why. And then the question, and then the question becomes, well, how do I fix that? And the answer is actually pretty simple. It's staggering the time in which reports fire off. So it's saying, rather than having my report fire off at the top of every hour or the bottom of every hour, I have 10 reports that are going to start at 11. I have 10 more reports that are going to start at 11:01, and then 11:02, and 11:03, and 11:04. And you do that by using a cron schedule here. And so if let's see, if I do 3 *** at minute 3, right? So this is saying at minute 3 of every hour, fire off this alert. So if I were to take this and put it in here, this report will fire off at 2:03, 3:03, 4:03. And then you change this as you see fit. It doesn't have to be 3. It can be 6, 16. And then you can adjust these at 1:01 every day or 2:01 every day if you're running a daily report. And then all these values kind of change. And then even still, right? So the original example here was this will run every 5th minute. So every 5 minutes, this is going to run. Because you can't do that here. So you can run it every hour, every day, every week, every month. So you have a higher priority that you need to get results for, like So you remember last time we were talking about summary indexing, and we said, you know, if you want to summarize the results here, these kinds, right? This cron scheduling here, this is a perfect example of one of those things. When you are looking for, generally you won't have a report that you want to run every 5 minutes. You will probably have an alert that you want to run every 5 minutes, because generally if you have something that's running every 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes at a time, and you're looking back, that means you're looking for very important events, which means you're looking for something in particular. That may not be the case, but that is the majority of the cases. But let's say that you do have a report that runs every 5 minutes. That might be one of those reports that you want to be pushing the results to a summary index. But that's all I was kind of getting at. And so you can use cron here. I recommend kind of understanding how cron works, working on kind of coming up with your own intervals. And then once you get used to this in this weird format, it's going to be a lot easier to schedule out all your reports. And so we'll stick with this. It's going to run at the 3rd minute of every hour. It's going to look back 60 minutes. We can give it a priority saying, okay, these are going to run first every time. These get priority over the lesser priorities. And then we can have trigger actions. So we can have it send an email. We can, if you want it to have these things. Generally, the most common one is sending an email. It's like, well, when it's done, I want to see the results of my report, but I don't want to have to go into Splunk to see it. So shoot me an email and I'll look it over later. There are more that can get added here based on certain apps that you install. I know, well, maybe not for reports, but I definitely know for alerts. So like if you guys use Slack or ServiceNow, and you can generate channels and or service tickets by integrating the app to your Splunk environment. And then there will be a trigger actions that says, okay, send the results to this Slack channel, or take the results here and create an incident report in ServiceNow.